the scene, you don't.
No. So here's what you're saying is that because of what evidence is pointing out at the time, you're willing to sacrifice innocent lives because of what the evidence at the time is saying.
So
Even if evidence will show up later, could show up later.
because technology improves.
Because technology improves, you're still willing to sacrifice innocent lives in spite of what new technology
I think
will show.
she agrees with the whole thing that it with the risk of wrongful execution of innocence. In that article, like he talks about saying that what does he say? He says that it happens. You know, like stuff like that happens. But if it happens just as things happen to people every day.
Yes, like
So you agree with that?
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's right and that innocent people should be convicted. I mean, yeah, like put to death. But it happens, like, and I'd rather have one innocent person put to death and have like 10 guilty people put to death. I'd rather, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like
So what if it turns out that you're putting 10 innocent people to death and one guilty man to death?
shit happens.
Really? That's it? Really?
I'm glad our reaction is
They're
the
just
same.
dying.
Oh my god, that's
So
so
okay,
inhumane.
to me, you're
You're
comparing.
not a person.
To me, you're comparing people's lives. To me, you're comparing people's lives to getting a flat tire. Like they're worth the same thing as getting a flat tire. Oh, I got a flat tire. Like that's what you're comparing to me.
This is my state of mind now. I guarantee you, if I was on death row, I'd probably think completely different.
Well, I should hope so. God damn it, I should hope so.
But like, I don't know. I just.
Yeah, you'd like to see justice, but at what cost?
I mean, some.
Some
Do you-
innocent people should deserve to die so that one guilty man can die?
Some people deserve to die.
Some people do deserve to die, but is it in the hands of an institution to say whether or not they should or shouldn't die?
I don't know. I just.
An institution that is flawed,
Flawed, very flawed.
an institution that is run by people whose opinions and perceptions are just as flawed as the institution itself.
Like we talked about in our other critiques,
just-
how reality is perceived differently by others.
I just can't get past someone killing someone or having someone murdering kids or raping or being a molester. Like, I just can't get past that. And I think they deserve to die. And if it takes having a couple innocent people to get those people dead, then I'm for that. And I know that sounds awful, but I just can't, I don't know, like,
Okay,
coming
so
from someone that's had some shit happen to me, like, I can't get past.
yeah.
Having, I'm gonna cry.
So my thing,
Having
okay,
something happen to him.
yeah, my thing is that okay, right now we have pretty like serious death penalties for like murders and stuff like that. But if you actually look back on like child cases where there's actual abuse and it's not an accidental or even thought to be accidental, they don't even get the death penalty. They get a couple of years in prison.
That's wrong.
So now you're saying that the issue isn't with the death penalty, it's with the way that the prison system is run and the way the conviction systems are run. It's not necessarily the death penalty, it's what...
Who
the
decides
pun-
to
no,
get
it's-
the death penalty?
No. It's the punishments for the specific crimes.
I guess.
So right now you're not criticizing the issue of the
whether-
death penalty, you're criticizing the institution.
Right? That's what I'm.
That's exactly what these articles talk
Yeah.
about.
I just,
Especially the
I don't think someone that robbed a bank, just robbed a bank, no one was harmed, should get the death penalty. But I think if you cause harm to other people, serious harm.
So like
Like-
okay, like an eye for an eye. If you take someone's life,
Yeah.
your life should be taken.
But on what conditions? Like, do you have to be like on camera, or does the evidence have to be implied?
I don't think, I mean, if that, see, evidence, I think if evidence is pretty, like, hardcore and legit, that you
Beyond a
where
reasonable
some-
doubt.
Yeah, then,
Okay, but taking into account
Aren't
The
all
death
convictions made on beyond a reasonable doubt?
Should
they have
be.
to be. They have to
Exactly.
be.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, if you take into account, like, in the article, the death penalty legend, he says that, what is it, the prosecution strives to create a credible legend, which may be unrelated to the truth. The defense tries to raise doubts about this legend, which may, but does not necessarily involve creating a counter legend. if this jury buys the prosecution's legend, this is called finding of guilt beyond a reasonable doubt.
Mhm.
If you're each trying to make your own story come across, that's just what it is. It's a story.
No, okay, see, I get that. I understand that when you go to trial, you leave out certain facts to make your story sound legitimate, and it happens with both
You never
sides.
get the whole truth. When
And
you-
I understand that, but I don't know, I just can't get past.
But you're lacking truth and you're sentencing a man to death.
you're going with the notion.
But okay, don't you think, just hear me out, don't you think if you have one side of the story trying to say, oh, he committed murder, and the other guy saying, oh, he didn't commit murder, by both those stories overall, do you think you'd end up getting the whole picture because they're both trying to counterpoint certain things?
Not at all.
You
Not at all.
can't. I don't think that in the
I know.
judicial system you can.
But doesn't
because,
that kind of, it makes sense, like, to me in my head, you would think that you'd be able to get both sides of the story.
But because you can't get the whole and complete truth, you can't know everything that went
Because
on. I don't think
basically-
it's fair to
Okay,
sentence
The judicial
anybody.
system is just filled with people trying to manipulate each other and convince each other that no, it's this way or no, it's
But
this
do you
way.
think, but do you think it's okay to send someone to life in prison? They're pretty much essentially dying in prison.
Yeah.
They're, prison's hell. Like, I saw Locked Up Raw. I watched it constantly.
You don't know by experience, but
Yeah, I don't know by experience, but I've seen it every single Friday, Saturday night.
okay.
But, no, but like, isn't that pretty much sentencing them to death? Spending life locked up in a cell 23 hours a day, 1 hour outside
Okay,
of that?
but by giving this person death, you're actually giving them, they don't have to deal with the issues anymore. You know what I mean? Like if they're in prison, they have to deal with all of
Yeah,
that.
but they're taking up so much of our money and so much of
See,
our time.
I understand where you come from with
Like-
that. Yeah.
No, I actually agree with Kat
On
because
the
yeah, because I
resources,
like, say,
yeah.
say for example, if a person commits murder and there's no doubt that this guy
That this
this
person-
guy
What if they
overall
confessed? Is that legit? Like, you mean like say they confessed?
No, because sometimes
you
like
can
even
confess to something
yeah,
you
even
didn't
under
do for the
under
love of
personal
another person or
interrogation,
for certain reasons.
Really?
Yeah.
People do that?
Oh
Yes.
yeah, all the time.
Yes.
Well, not all the time, but yeah.
Think of a mother's love for a
in rare
child.
cases.
Would you rather not have your child sentenced to
Yeah.
death? Would you rather be the one sentenced to death if your child committed the crime?
But the only
I never thought
The
about
only, I guess how I see putting them in jail for life is that it gives them the option for parole. But,
that.
well, yeah, or to appeal
Well,
the
sometimes
case.
they-
I'm
Or
saying
to appeal the
to
case.
parole. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it either because I mean, if they did the court right the first time, then that shouldn't even be an issue.
Well,
I mean,
That's what.
Well,
that's
yeah,
a perfect
that's what
system.
he
Yeah, they
argues.
talk about it
And the
here.
risk for wrongful execution of innocent. I don't know who wrote this, so I can't like.
I don't know, but they talk about how so many people get parole and they're letting someone go that ends
That the
up-
abolitionists should focus their attention on fixing that part of
Yeah, rather than putting them to death. I hate criminals.
So are you saying that all felons should not be eligible for parole?
I think it depends
You mean
on the
with
crime.
murder
I
cases?
think it
Like-
depends on the crime.
Okay.
Things like
It really depends on the crime. Someone that robbed a bank or someone that
What
did.
about somebody that's running around with 5 pounds of marijuana in their car?
No, I don't even know if you should even go to jail. That's a waste of your money.
that really is like
So,
okay, but
ba-
besides the point.
But
So basically my
Harmon,
point is like, prison reform is what the issue
It's
is.
basically you want the reform of the institution of a prison is like that's
yeah,
a
but
big topic.
I still think some people should be put to death.
I just feel
I mean,
Right.
like you said, it depends on the crime. and
Yeah,
the
it
evidence
totally
and
depends on the crime, and it totally depends on the evidence. And I know y'all are gonna say, well, evidence is subjective, blah blah blah. I don't care. There's some things that you can't get around, like someone's bloody fingerprint being there.
I think my largest issue with the death penalty is that you're putting the power of life and death
into
into
a group of people's hands.
into a group of people's hands, into an institution's hands.
Mhm.
you
I feel
know?
the same way about it. I don't
It's-
think
Yeah.
It shouldn't be up to like a government institution to say who should live and who should die. And I mean, yeah, some people
But
deserve
isn't it okay? Okay, I could be wrong, but isn't it who decides whether the death penalty is it the judge or is it the jury?
the jury decides the guilt, the judge decides
Decides the punishment? Okay, because I was saying if it was the jury, then your argument would be flawed because it'd be people deciding. the
No,
punishment.
it's the judge who
It's the
decides
judge.
the penalty.
Okay. Well, and therefore it is an institution.
Yeah, and that's I feel like no one person should determine whether or not you deserve to live. It's like in hospitals, like you know how people are on life support, and one person has to decide whether or not they should keep going with that.
So I say kill. If If you're not gonna have a life, you might as well die. And that's kind of how I